My name is Robert Hayes, and I'm 58 years old. 2 weeks ago, my doctor looked at my chart, then looked at me, and said one word I didn't like the sound of: fibrillation. Nothing was wrong yet, but my heart's rhythm had wandered off, more than once, and she wanted to know why. So I made myself a deal, right there in the exam room. For the next 4 weeks, I would drink no alcohol at all, not one beer, not one glass of wine with dinner. And every few days I'd sit at my own kitchen counter and take my own numbers: blood pressure, resting pulse, the little rhythm reading off a home monitor, and write them down, plain and honest. I'm not here to quit drinking forever, and I'm not going to scare you off a beer. I'm doing something much smaller and, to me, more interesting. I'm going to watch what my own body does over 30 days, week by week, then take those numbers back to my doctor so the two of us can decide together. Because the real argument isn't with the bottle, it's with a sentence I've told myself for most of my adult life. One beer never hurt anyone. 30 years of believing it without ever once checking it. Now I've got 4 weeks, a notebook, and my own heart to check it against. So let's start with what actually happened, day 1, at that kitchen counter. Day 1 of 4 weeks, and the watch on the nightstand hasn't even woken up yet. Monday morning, before my feet hit the floor, I picked up the smartwatch and read the number it shows first. My resting heart rate, the pace your heart settles into when you're doing nothing at all. Mine read a little higher than I remembered. Not alarming. I wrote it down plain at the kitchen counter and let it be. Week 1 wasn't about fixing anything, just watching. The reason a quiet drink can nudge that number up comes down to how the heart keeps its rhythm. Back in 1978, a cardiologist named Philip Ettinger watched healthy people show up in the ER with racing, irregular hearts after a holiday of heavy drinking. He called it holiday heart. But I'll be fair, Ettinger watched people who drank hard, not a man having one beer with dinner. So one beer never hurt anyone survives week 1. The number just hasn't turned to face it yet. This is my number, not yours. Have you ever looked at yours? Next week, a sharper measure and a named figure. Week 2. Wednesday mid-morning, the cuff already on my own arm, and the number it gave me was the surprise of the week. The top number came back a touch higher than I'd have guessed for a man just sitting still. Not a crisis, but higher than the story I'd been telling myself. And here's the part that actually surprised me. Researchers at Royal Free Hospital in London, published in BMJ Open in 2018, had healthy adults stop drinking for 1 month. After that alcohol-free month, insulin resistance, how hard the body works on blood sugar, dropped by roughly a quarter from where it started. Blood pressure eased and liver fat went down too, changes doctors could see on a scan. 30 years, 1 sentence, and now a hospital study standing across the counter from it. One caution before the next number: none of this replaces your own doctor reading your own chart. Next week, a measure closer to the heart itself. Week 3, Sunday evening, the living room, a family holiday photo by the lamp, and this week, the measure moved closer to the heart itself, the rhythm underneath. The photo pulled a memory back. A few winters ago, after a long dinner and more wine than usual, I lay down and felt my heart skip and race before it settled. I blamed the coffee, the late food, never the wine. That was always the alibi. This week, I finally understood that night. It's the mechanism Ettinger first described. Even one heavy night can jolt the upper chambers into a short, quivering flutter. This week, I finally felt why. That racing feeling. One of the most common offbeat rhythms in adults past 50. So the honest myth check. 1 beer with dinner isn't a hard drinking night, true. But 1 heavy night isn't nothing, and the same easy sentence had been covering for those nights too, this whole time. This week it took a direct hit. None of this replaces a real exam. Talk to your own doctor about your own rhythm. Next week, the strongest figure of all, from a trial with a name and a number I won't soon forget. Week 4, kitchen counter, the same spot where this started, 1 more line of numbers in my own hand. This is the week the strongest figure landed. In 2020, a cardiologist named Alexander Voskoboynik published a trial in the New England Journal of Medicine following people with atrial fibrillation who cut out alcohol. Over about 6 months, roughly 53 out of 100 who quit had the irregular heartbeat come back, against about 73 out of 100 who kept pouring. Not a cure, but the odds moved a lot toward a steadier heart. And one small figure beside the big one. Alcohol carries about 7 calories a gram, a load I'd poured in for years without ever counting the tab. Then, one more study, the biggest one, looked at the whole picture. Michael Roreke gathered the world's evidence for The Lancet Public Health in 2017. Each daily drink raised the odds of a fluttering heart by about 8%. One glass was never as harmless as I'd told myself. 30 years of telling myself that, and the numbers finally said no. One honest caveat. That was the number that folded my notebook shut and walked me back toward the same exam room I'd started in. 4 weeks later, I walked back through that same door, the same exam room where a doctor first said the word fibrillation and started all of this. Same chair, same paper on the table, only now I had a small notebook of my own numbers with me. 4 weeks of them, written by hand. No new study in my pocket this time, beyond the one that sent me back here. This time I brought my own numbers instead. I came with what the month already showed. A resting heart rate that settled a few beats lower, a blood pressure reading that eased, and a rhythm that stopped giving me those late-night scares. That old idea didn't get proven wrong all at once. It lost, one number at a time, this month, in my own hand. And here's the part I want to be plain about. For someone who drinks heavily, or every day, stopping suddenly can be medically risky. The body can react hard. So that conversation starts with a doctor, not a kitchen counter and a notebook alone. None of these numbers need a hospital visit to see. Your resting heart rate, your blood pressure, how your clothes fit, those are all things a person can watch change week by week from home. So here's my one question for you. What does your own resting heart rate read tomorrow morning before your feet hit the floor? And would you write that number down and take it to your own doctor? This is education, not a diagnosis. Watch your own numbers and decide together with someone who knows your body. This is Vital Signs.